Hello friends, welcome to the session on training process. Myself Professor Bharti Sundar from Department of Management Studies, STM College of Engineering and Technology, Dharwad. So we try to understand what is training and what are the major benefits of giving training to your employees. Now let us try to understand what is the process of training followed. This training process can deviate from organization to organization, but here is like just guidelines how training can be uh, processed in the organization. The major three phases you can find in the whole process are: the first one is training assessment, second is after assessing implementation of the training program, and third one is evaluation, that is how effective the training program has been. So we will discuss these phases one by one. The first phase, training need assessment. So why actually this training is to be given and what will be the content of the training is what is need to be assessed. So these training efforts must aim in meeting the needs of the organization and also the individual employees. So for this, what you are supposed to do is you have to conduct three types of analysis. One is organization analysis, second is task analysis, and third one is individual analysis. So what are these? If you want to understand why actually this training program has to be given and for whom it has to be given, you have to conduct organization analysis. So this, by doing this, you will try to understand where there are problems or where there are lacunas in the organization. So let us try to understand how organization analysis can help us in identifying the need of the training. So the main organization in this organization analysis, the very first thing what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to analyze the objectives of the organization, because by doing so what happens is you will try to understand what are the long term and short term objectives of the organization and what strategies can be followed so that you can meet the organizational objectives. So if let us say the organization objective is to meet 30 crore sales next year. If you are not able to meet it, then what? So here you should question yourself whether we are able to meet it or not, whether we have enough human resources in the organization or not, whether those human resources which are enough, they are having those competencies or skills which are needed to achieve that 30 crore target or not. So the objectives can help you to understand whether your employees are ready to meet those objectives or not. Okay, so that is why you have to conduct organization analysis uh, for objectives. So by understanding the objectives, you will come to know whether these objectives are able to be performed or fulfilled by the employees of the organization with existing skills and competencies. If they are not able to, if they are not having those skills and enough skills and competencies, here is where training need is arising. So you will be able to understand, okay, I have to give training to my employees, then only they'll be able to achieve the objectives of the organization. Then the resource utilization analysis. Here you try to understand how the various organizational resources in the sense not just raw materials, resources even in terms of humans, resources in terms of physical and financial also will be considered. So whether the resources are utilized properly in the organization or not. Let us say if there is HR, that is employees in the organization, whether employees are effectively used in the organization or not. If they are effectively used, still the organization is not able to meet the targets. There are two reasons. Maybe the employees are not ready for the job, or they are having some drawbacks, or there are no enough employees in the organization. So you should understand by resource utilization analysis, you will come to know whether the existing employees are being completely utilized, whether the existing resources are being completely utilized or not. If they are completely utilized, still then the organization is not able to perform. There may be maybe a chance where the employees more employees have to be absorbed into the organization. So for that reason, to understand whether the resources are enough for the organizational day-to-day requirements or not, you have to analyze. Then environmental scanning. Political, social, economical and technological environment of the organization has to be scanned. Why? Because what is happening outside, the organization has to understand. If whatever changes are happening in the environment, if the organization members are not able to cope up with it, of course, it is a drawback for the organization itself. So, by environmental scanning, you will be able to understand how is the competition, what other competitors are doing, how is the market, what does it need, what should my employees have. So, by understanding this, you will be able to identify what kind of training can be given so that my employees are ready for the challenges of the market. Then organizational climate analysis. So it speaks about the attitudes of the employees towards the work, the company policies, and the supervisors. Absenteeism turnover ratios generally reflect the prevailing employee attitudes. So here, the training efforts can help to improve the organization climate. Let us say the organization members are not open in terms of communication. They are not, they don't easily speak up. They don't discuss the issues or problems between themselves. It really leads to a big problem in the future. So by conducting organization analysis, climate analysis, you will come to know how are their communication skills, how best they can cope up with each other, what kind of culture is prevailing in the organization. So such kind of information can be uh, analyzed by conducting this organization climate analysis. So by doing this at the organization level, you will be able to understand where the lacunas are, where are my employees lagging behind. So if my employees are able to get the training, whether we'll be able to meet the requirements. So these questions have to be answered, which will give you a kind of a picture as to what kind of training programs can be conducted. That is the first level, that is organization level analysis. Second is the task analysis, that is task or role analysis. Here, what does the job require? Whether that is already there in the individual or the employee or not. It is a detailed examination of the job, its components, and its various operations and conditions under which it has to be performed. So, by doing so, what happens is you'll be able to, when you know the job or the task itself, then only you'll be able to compare it with whether the employee is able to work or not. That is what is done in the third level person analysis. So if the above task is given to the employee, whether he will be able to or capable of performing that job or not is being assessed in person analysis. So first is understand the organization, second is try to understand the job, and third is try to understand the person. And in the last category, that is person analysis, you will be able to understand whether the existing people in the organization or the employee is capable of working and performing, or whether there is some gap, whether he is to be given some training program in some areas where he can develop himself and perform more better. So this is what is try to being assessed in the training need assessment phase. So once the training need, that is the employees, what kind of training he or she has to be given, is being identified, then comes identifying the training objectives. So without a direction, without a aim in your life, you cannot go further. So every task what you do should have some objective behind it. So here, once you are able to define, you are able to understand where the the issues are, or where the problems are in the organization, you will be then able to focus on what kind of training can be given. So the objectives of the training can be in three areas. It can be in the area of innovation, it can be in the area of problem solving, and kind of regular objectives. If the training is to be given in the area of innovation, normally it is given to employees to anticipate the problem before occur and try to take up some decisions so that those problems don't occur. Second is team building sessions with the departments. So such kind of uh, what I can say, training program can be given so that bonding between the team members it becomes more stronger. Second objective of any training program will be normally problem solving abilities. That is, let us say sales executives are there trying to reduce the number of complaints from the customers on the sales executives, or let us say the company is providing after sales service trying to reduce the complaints on after sales service. So this kind of training objective can be framed for especially service after sales service department. Okay, then training supervisors in communications to reduce grievances. What happens? There are a lot of issues when it comes to shop floor employees and supervisory levels. Lot of fights, conflicts are there between these two categories. So if you are able to train your employees, especially supervisors, in terms of better communication system or patterns, this may help in reducing the grievances. This you can keep as one more objective of your training. Training can also act as an orientation. Orientation in the sense you just have to make the employee familiar with the work system, the organization, the infrastructure, the job, and everything. Then recurring training of interviewers. So here you have to conduct continuous training programs for your interviewers also, because let us say recruiters. Okay, so if that continuous training programs are not given to them, they will not be able to understand what are the requirements in the market, and based upon that they will never be able to come out with a recruitment and a proper recruitment and a selection plan for the organization. So the interviewers or the recruiters are the one who should be very much trained thoroughly on what is happening around, what are the latest developments going on in the market, and how the organization is going to focus more upon being prepared towards the market requirements. So that is to be given a very clear picture to the interviewers in the training sessions. Then even some refreshers course now and then has to be conducted on safety processes, so that all the employees don't forget to follow the safety rules and regulations of the company. These are some general kind of objectives you can decide upon for your training program. So it's not fixed in nature. Every organization, what kind of training is being given to them, so objectives are also framed accordingly. So these are some general guidelines for the understanding purpose. So now once you are able to understand the training need assessment, that is why actually the training has to be given and for whom it has to be given. So you are able to understand that in the first phase. This is the second phase, that is the implementation phase. So here in this implementation phase, varieties or various kinds of job training methods are being used. In the previous section, we discussed about types of training. Here we are discussing about methods of providing training. So the first method, there is a difference in type and method. Okay, please understand that. So the first method of training which is very commonly used is job instruction training. This training is immediately or directly received on the job itself. The trainee receives an overview of the job, and the trainer actually demonstrates the job, and the trainee is asked to copy the trainer's way. So it is just like on the job training. Okay, so you are put on the job and you are supposed to work on the job itself. And here the trainer will come to you and tell you or teach you how to perform your job. Let us say an employee is operating a machine. A trainer will come and teach them how to operate that machine. Then coaching is there. Coaching, here the supervisor explains the things and answers the question. He also throws light on why things are done and why the way they are done. He also offers a model for the trainees to copy and conducts lot of decision making meetings and allows the trainees to freedom to commit mistakes and learn. So they should learn from their mistakes. That is what is the job of a coach. Hope you have all seen Chak De movie. There, Shah Rukh Khan allows the girls at one phase to make mistakes. By committing those mistakes, the girls of the hockey team, Indian hockey team, they start learning, they start understanding their mistakes and they start correcting on their own. So that is very much essential, and that is what is done in coaching. But the coach has to be very, very skilled here. Mentoring, a little bit more experienced person can teach the less experienced person how to perform the job. So that is what is mentoring here. There are two people in this always, mentor and the mentee. So the mentor is the one who nurtures, who takes care of the mentee, who needs that mentoring session. He guides the efforts of the young people by giving appropriate information, feedback, and encouragement whenever required. He or she also tries to understand the problems of the freshers and try to address those problems, try to give some suggestions to overcome those problems whenever the fresher has joined the company newly. So as I told you, there are two categories of people you can find: good mentors and mentees. So, what are the key characteristics of good mentors? A good mentor is always a one who listens and very understands the mentee. He challenges and stimulates learning in the mentees. He coaches them. He builds self-confidence. He provides a wise advice. He teaches by example. He himself acts as a role model. He shares experiences and offers encouragement whenever needed. On the other hand, mentees, that is new fresh joinees, they should listen carefully. They should act on the advice given by the mentors. They should be very committed to learn new things. Ego has to be always kept outside. Ask for a feedback at every checkpoint so that you can work on these negativities. Be very open minded. Always be willing to change and be proactive when it comes to performance. So these are some characteristics you should find in good mentors and good mentees. We have one more, that is job rotation. We have discussed it little bit on job rotation earlier. This kind of a training, as I have already told it, after few days or few months, the trainee is shifted from one job to another. So let us say one newly recruited employees joined the company, and 1 week he works in one department, second week he is put in another department, third week he is put in other department. So this goes on until he understands the whole organization better. So that is what is job rotation. Or let us say there is a small department of 8 to 10 people. He is put on the job of every employee in that department. That is what is job rotation, rotating the job. Okay, so why this is done? Because as I have already told you, let us say if any employee leaves the organization, or he is transferred, or he is like demoted, or he is being promoted, the existing job position becomes vacant, and you cannot just stop the work in the organization. At that time, uh, if other employees are trained using this job rotation method, they can always replace the vacant position, and job processes of the organization will not be disturbed. Apprenticeship training is more given to lower class employees, especially for plumbers, fitters, carpenters, or such kind of. These are very formal kind of training programs, wherein trainees are put under the guidance of somebody, and minimum for 1 2 3 years, 5 years sometimes, this training is being provided until they master the work. So once they master the work, then they can be promoted, or they can move to the next level jobs. This is more of skilled labor class employees training. Then we have committee assignments. Here, trainees are asked to solve an actual organizational problem by with along with the other trainees. So they make teams, they give some assignment, or they give some problems, and these teams will be asked to work on those problems and try to solve those problems of the organization. So such kind of team assignments can also be given to them. So these are all varieties of on-the-job training methods. Now, off the job, that is, here it is more of you are not on the job, performing the job and learning. You will be in some other place and you'll be learning the job. One such is vestibule training. It is off the job training on the equipment or methods that are highly similar to those used on the job. If you visit Kaiga nuclear plant, there is one big hall which is called as a control room of the whole Kaiga nuclear plant. Whenever a new fresh recruit for that control room is being joined, he will directly not be put in that control room to operate the buttons. There is a similar room in the same organization, which is also a demo control room, where these new people, new recruits are placed. That is, they have to undergo 3 to 4 months of training program on that dummy control room. If there are problems, how to operate the buttons, how to look into the problems, how to understand the problems. So all such kind of training programs are given in that demo control room itself. So such is an example for vestibule training. Okay. Role playing is a technique where the trainee is instructed to assume that he is in this particular given situation, and how will he act upon. Let us say you are an HR manager, 10 employees suddenly come with some conflict. How will you react in that situation? So you should act as should be in the role of a HR manager, and you have to come out with a decision. You have to solve the conflict. You have to solve the issue there itself. So that is an example of a role play. Lecture method. It's a very simple kind of a classroom training method where material is given, PPTs are used, classrooms are used where the trainees are put in the classroom and the instructor starts going on explaining the things about the job. Okay, so we were discussing conference or discussion method. See, in this method, what happens is the trainer normally delivers a lecture, and later after the lecture, there is a kind of a discussion happening between the trainer as well as the trainees here. So whatever doubts they have regarding the job, or whatever doubts they have regarding the organization or the work system there, so such kind of doubts can be discussed and they can be clarified in this conference or a discussion method. So here there is always a chance for the trainees to question and get their doubts or problems clarified. That's a conference or a discussion method. Programmed instruction method is something wherein a set of sequential information, or I can say materials, are given to the trainees, and looking into them the trainees have to respond. So let us say there are a sequence of parts of machinery arranged on a table. So the trainee is supposed to use those parts one by one in the sequence, and uh, prepare a small machine or a unit or whatever it is. That is one. Or they have to assembly the machine. Or else, let us say there is a sequential information put up on the table. The trainees have to go through that information and have to respond back. So such kind of approach, we call them as programmed instruction method. So these are some of the job training methods here. Uh, so, so far we have discussed how to recognize the need for training. That is the first phase. Secondly, we have discussed about implementation of the training programs uh, in various methods, that is off the job and on the job trainings. The last phase of this training process is the evaluation process, because any training or program you conduct, it is very important to understand how much you have achieved. So in the first phase, we were discussing about training objectives. Hope you remember that. So whenever a training is given, the trainer or the organizer should always design the objectives for that whole training program. Why is because it gives you a direction how the training program has to go. And keeping those objectives in mind, the last phase, that is evaluation phase, should be done. So here, this evaluation of how much effective the training is has to be evaluated. So this evaluation happens in five levels, that is reaction level, learning level, behavior level, and organization and results level. So what is this reaction level? So the training has to be evaluated based on the reaction of the trainees here. So how involved they are in the whole training session, how much they are participating in the training, what kind of response they are giving back to the trainer here. So such kind of things have to be observed. So here these reactions maybe like which it will help the trainer to understand whether he is able to reach the trainees and whether the objectives of the training has been met or not. Just by the reactions of the participants only, you can try to understand whether the training has been effective or not. So that is the first level. Then the second level of evaluation goes with learning. So here whether the trainer is able to reach the trainees and make them learn something new. So the first thing is whether they were able to, whether the trainer was able to reach the participants just through their reaction, facial expressions or body expressions. You can easily understand. Second is whether the trainees are able to learn from the trainer. So that is what you try to understand here. So let us say after the training session, let us say the training was regarding machinery usage. Okay, once the training has been conducted, after that you give those machines to the employees and ask them to operate that machinery. If they are able to, that means they have learned. So you can do it through this kind of a testing. So let us say we take classes for you people, so that is training. We take exams, that makes us understand how much you have learned from the class, right? So learning phase. So that is how learning level can be understood. Then comes the behavioral level, job behavior here. So whether the trainee is able to apply what he has learned on his job or not. So once the training is completed, what happens is the participant or the trainee means the person who has gone through the training. Trainer means the person who gives the training. So whether that trainee has gone back to his job and whether he is able to perform the job correctly or not, that behavior he should be able to show. So that is what is behavioral level. So here, whether the trainee is able to perform on the job or not, his behavior has to be tested. Okay, so that is the third level. Then fourth level, organization level. So this evaluation measure actually makes us understand the usage of training, learning, and change in the job behavior of the department or the organization in the form of increased productivity, performance, quality, employee morale, it may be sales turnover, something like this. So here at organization level, after this training program, whether something is improved or not, so that will be evaluated. So let us say before training, 10 employees were manufacturing 20 products per day. After training, those same 10 employees are able to manufacture 25 products per day. So that change is observed. So that shows whether the training has positively influenced the employees learning or not. Okay, so this is how also you can conduct evaluation, by knowing the organizational performance. Then we have ultimate results in the sense, after this training program, whether the company's profitability has increased, whether they are able to meet the competition more better compared to earlier, whether the company is growing or not. So such kind of results can also help you to understand whether the training has really been effective or not. So now, hope you have understood what are the things which are evaluated. So now the important thing which comes up is how to evaluate. We know what to evaluate, but we should know how to evaluate also, no? So how to evaluate? So if we have to evaluate, we need some information, and based on that information only we can tell whether the employee has learned, whether the employee has positively reacted, whether the organization is performing or not, whether the results of the company is good or not. So we need information to tell whether the training program has been effective or not. So to know that information, there are methods to collect that information, and those methods are simple questionnaires. Some tests can be conducted to questionnaires can be conducted to understand whether they have learned the things or not. Tests can be conducted to know whether they are able to perform on the behavior on the job or not. Then interviews can be conducted to know how much they are able to learn in the organization in the training sessions, right? So these are some things which uh, they will you can look for. And human resource factors, in the sense, you can check their absenteeism rates, you can conduct a job satisfaction survey, you can check on the grievances being registered at the grievance redressal committee, right? So these are some things if there is decrease in this numbers, that means the objective, somewhere the objective of the training has been met. Then cost benefit analysis. See, for every, as I told you, for every training they spend huge amount of money. So whether it has really been worthy for the company or not, whether the company is able to gain profit out of the training program or not, that has to be understood. So here, cost benefit, whatever cost I'm incurring on that training program, whether I'm getting in equal enough benefit towards that or not. So that should be evaluated. So cost benefit analysis also can be conducted here to know whether uh, the training program objective has been met or not. Then at the same time, you can also take feedback from the trainees, and by asking the trainees only whether somewhere your skills have improved, whether you have become more active, more productive, your performance has increased or not. So such kind of feedback can be asked from the trainees themselves, so that you'll be able to understand whether your training has been effective or not. So these are some methods of how you can evaluate the whole training program. So here, three phases we have studied. Just try to recalling them. The first phase is training need assessment. Why and how and where and what kind of training you need. Second, implementation of the training programs through various methods like off the job and on the job methods. Then third is evaluation of the training program. So these are the three main phases of the training program. Hope you have cleared with the three phases of the training process. Okay, so if any doubts on the session, you can always come back to me, on my email ID or my phone number. Thank you, friends.